Dear colleagues and friends, it's a real pleasure to take a part on this CIDOC conference in new normal circumstances. Tomislav, Goran and me myself are coming from the academic community, but thanks to our research interests and practical activities, we are also connected with the museum and heritage one. It is the same with our topic under the title the Ivo Maroević Slide Collection, engaging students in digitization, cataloging and communication. Obviously, it connects the field of education and museology. Professor Ivo Maroević was prominent and internationally recognized museologist, member of ICOFOM and ICTOP, and he was author of numerous articles and books, as some of them were prepared in English. For example, the book Introduction to Museology, the European Approach. He was a professor at our Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences at Zagreb from 1983 until his passing away in 2007. In 1984, he founded the Museology sub-department within the Department of Information and Communication Sciences, and 2 years later organized the first graduate study of museology in Croatia. During his teaching career, Ivo Maroević created a collection of slides of over 9,000 items. He placed them in boxes, marked most of them with inventory number and a classification mark, and started digitization to make it easier to find and use the slides in process of teaching. After his death, we added special meaning to this collection even more. It became a memorial collection for us, and the slides were out of use for a while. So it is noted that just archive, museum and library professionals attach meaning to things. It happens in the other public institutions as well. So let me represent briefly the collection and its sub-collections. The first one, Museology, comprises over 2,500 slides. Among them are many copies of images from the museological literature and a series of slides made by Professor on his professional trips to Netherlands, Canada, Mexico, etc. Of course, most documented museums have changed today in the 21st century, but slides can be used to compare earlier and current state. The Protection of Monuments sub-collection is the largest one. It also contains a lot of copies from the literature, but also the images made on professional trips related to the conferences of ICOMOS and German association, so-called Arbeitskreis Vierhausforschung. As the professor worked in the entire former Yugoslavia, sub-collection has a lot of slides from Montenegro, Slovenia and Kosovo. Among national examples of monument protection, those from the capital of Zagreb stand out. The urbanism sub-collection is the smallest one. Obviously, course urbanism was less demanding and elective, and the content of which needed to be further developed. It is interesting that in professor's study room on faculty we found a wooden box with very old slides. Among them we highlight 12 slides on larger glass plates. Research has shown that these slides belong to different sources. Some were made in the company of the Austrian photographer Bruno Reifenstein in Vienna in the early 20th century, and some in the Berlin publishing company of Dr. Franz Stadtner, a pioneer of documentary photography in Europe. Even the first research has brought a number of interesting data that we use in presenting the collection to the public. As I mentioned earlier on, the creator himself, creator of the collection, marked one part of them with a number and a prefix of the sub-collection in accordance with his teaching courses. More than half of the slides had classification marks, and the first 200 were listed on a separate list. The professor himself developed a working classification of key concepts from museology, monument protection, and urbanism field. The first project of digitization was initiated by him in 2001. At that time, 1,500 slides were scanning, but only about 200 were catalogued. At the very beginning of the project, it became obvious that scanning is an easier part of the job. As Leila Miletić-Vezović said, describing similar experience regarding the project of digitization, the Frank Matsura photo collection in Washington State University Library, it has been confirmed that scanning is a relatively inexpensive procedure, and integrated metadata into a digital image is the most expensive and time-consuming. In another phase of digitization, the slides were protected and stored appropriately in acid-free archive boxes, and the collection was fully digitized. Of course, we are talking about digitization in a narrower sense in terms of scanning or conversion into digital form. A transcript of keywords was made for about 2,000 slides. In 2017, the focus was put on cataloging, and a large number of museology students were included in the process. So far, almost 40% of the collection has been formally and content-wise processed. Me myself participated in the cataloging of the museology sub-collection, so very soon I have realized that cataloging has the character of a detective job. Helpful was the fact that the slides were made in series. Often, series were created on trips that accompanied professional conferences, and because of these, professors' biography and bibliography were very important. As I was close to Professor, his personal characteristics became visible from the slides to me. For example, he had a sharp eye for the funny things, and those visually impressive. Also, a lot of slides were made in open-air museums, and there is no doubt that this type of museum was his favorite one.
Collection. First of all, this process was the collaboration of us as university teachers and master-level students at several courses at the Museology and Heritage Management Study Program at University of Zagreb. Now I would like to show you how some key processes of digitization and documentation of the collection were organized and incorporated in the teaching process. The whole process was determined by existing documentation of Professor Maroević. Thus, digitization itself was carried out in two steps: digitization of the slide image transparencies and digitization of the slides as objects to record valuable data on the frames. Few words about documentation process. Formal description was easy. All records have same author, same dimensions, object name, material, and techniques. Therefore, this data was automatically generated. Documentation of inscriptions was crucial to enable monitoring of provenance of data and distinction between the information provided by Professor Maroević and the information subsequently added to the subject indexing by students or academics. Žarka has already said how difficult it is to determine the subject when there is no data other than visual content of the image. Fortunately, more than half of the slides have notes on the frames. I emphasize this because in the context of university collections, especially visual ones, the existence of data is exception rather than the rule. So in that case, thanks to the highly structured keywords recorded on the slide frames, the subject indexing was a relatively simple process. During that process, students also learned how to choose the appropriate index terms, how to use controlled vocabulary, and how to construct descriptive titles from the subject index terms. As the professor himself developed working terminology, students structured that local terminology as thesaurus. You can see several examples of vocabulary developed by Professor Maroević for the field of museology, protection of monuments, and urbanism. Students were also involved in communication of the collection. The website was created and online catalog is established. Once the individual record is documented and verified, it is published in an online catalog. The website is currently available only in Croatian, but students preparing terminology via mapping terms to AAT concepts to implement multilingual catalog to make collection even more visible in international context. This is the interface of the online catalog with few slides from collection, how end users can see them. All in all, it was great collaboration experience, but we need to improve and optimize this process. When you work with a relatively large number of students, there were about 25 of them in each academic year, you need to work on additional multi-level quality control mechanisms, like, for example, multiple peer review. Also, several students invested their free time in the project, so it was necessary to motivate such volunteers and reward them in some way. Before coronavirus, we usually take them to conferences, and now, for example, we invite them to write journal articles with us. Thus, we found that some methods of user engagement from crowdsourcing projects are applicable. However, it is important to emphasize that it is necessary to revise and improve those methods concerning the specific needs and requirements of the educational context, because neither our students are a crowd, nor is the point in using students to just do some work. And also we have to be aware of the heritage context, because this collection is academic heritage par excellence. Therefore, we need academic crowdsourcing, or how we like to call it, edusourcing. So here is the diagram of our model. Students use acquired concepts, principles, theories, and methods to solve real-life problems. They're generating new knowledge, associating the existing insights into functional units, and have experience of participation and contribution to valuable goal. Teachers monitor achievement of educational outcomes in real-life context, and as our students are mostly double major students, we need to interconnect different study groups and perspectives to the lens of digital humanities. And very important, we achieve closer collaboration between students and teachers. Collection is transferred into digital environment and collection is available to the public. Also, one of our goals is to join ICOM UMAC, University Museums and Collections database. Information technology allows and boosts the project. We are using Modular++ collection and thesaurus management system, which is used in most of the Croatian museums. And student made semantic alignment of terminology with AAT concepts. And from the moment the collection is searchable, we have gained many insights about the collection and professors' professional and scientific life. So it is kind of win-win situation. The proposed collaborative model can facilitate the documentation of collection, and at the same time students can reach desired learning outcomes on real-life projects and find value in contributing to the cultural and academic heritage. Teachers also can monitor and improve the educational process. However, we would like to utilize and improve model by implementation of some statistical methods. And we want to further encourage reuse of the collection by integration with social networks, and we would like to develop digital storytelling by maps of Professor Maroević travels. Thank you for your attention.